Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're doing a deep dive into, well, one of the most mysterious peoples of the early Middle Ages, the Picts. You know, those Iron Age folks up in northern and eastern Scotland.
Absolutely. Really fascinating.
And our mission, really, is to trace their political rise, get a handle on their unique culture, and figure out how these people, who seem so elusive, actually became, well, the foundation for what turned into the Kingdom of Alba, you know, the precursor to modern Scotland.
It's funny, for ages they were seen almost as this sort of lost exotic tribe.
Right, like a footnote. But they were central.
Totally central. And it starts with who they even were. The name we use, Picti.
That's the Latin one, right?
Yeah, Latin. Shows up around 297 AD. It probably means painted ones or tattooed ones. It was an outsider term, you know. The Romans contrasting them with the Britons further south who are more Romanized.
Okay, so that's what the Romans called them. But what about their neighbors?
Yeah.
Or themselves?
Good question. In Old Irish, they pop up as Cruithne, and in Old Welsh, Prydain. And what's really interesting is that both those names are related linguistically to Britannia, Britain.
Ah, so they weren't invaders or newcomers, they were indigenous.
Exactly. Successors to earlier groups we hear about, like the Caledoni. And this naming gives us a big clue about their language, too.
Which is?
Almost certainly Brittonic. That's a P-Celtic language, part of the insular Celtic family, like Welsh. Not Goidelic or Q-Celtic like Irish or Scots Gaelic. Structurally quite different.
Got it. So a distinct people, distinct language group. What about politically? Were they organized?
Oh, definitely. They weren't just scattered tribes. The dominant kingdom seems to have been Fortriu, and recent work suggests its power base was really centered around the Moray Firth area.
And they were powerful enough to make a difference on the bigger stage.
Absolutely. The key moment, arguably, is 685 AD, the Battle of Dun Nechtain. They faced the Angles of Northumbria, who were really powerful and pushing north. The Picts stopped them decisively.
Wow. So that battle essentially secured their independence for a good while.
For centuries, yeah. It really defined the northern frontier.
But things change. The Viking-age arrives.
And that destabilized everything. We know about this catastrophic battle in 839. It seems to have just wiped out the leadership. The king of Fortriu died, and so did the king of Dalriada, the neighboring Gaelic kingdom. A huge blow.
And that chaos created an opening.
A massive power vacuum. And into that steps Kenneth MacAlpin, or Sinead MacAlpin in Gaelic. He becomes king of the Picts in the 840s.
Okay, now this is where the story usually gets told as the Gaelic conquest, right? MacAlpin, the Gael, taking over Pickland?
That's the traditional narrative, yeah. But modern thinking, well, it flips that script. The evidence increasingly suggests MacAlpin was king of the Picts first. Maybe he had claims through both lines, Pictish and Gaelic.
So not a conquest, but more like a dynastic merger, or maybe even a Pictish king extending his influence.
Kind of. The Gaelicization, the spread of Gaelic language and culture, that seems to happen after he's on the throne. Gradually. It wasn't until his grandson's time, maybe around 900 AD, that the kingdom really starts being called Alba consistently.
Huh. So the foundation of Scotland wasn't this dramatic takeover, but a slower integration, starting from within Pickland itself.
Precisely. It reframes the whole thing.
Okay, so if they weren't simply conquered and wiped out, why did the Pictish identity, the language, eventually fade?
Well, that leads us to the big mysteries. The language and those incredible carved stones.
Right, the Pictish stones, they're so distinctive.
Absolutely iconic. We have about 350 of them, mostly from the 6th to 9th centuries.
And they have those unique symbols.
Exactly. Before we get to the symbols, the language connection pops up again in place names. You see elements like Aber, meaning river mouth or confluence, think Aberdeen, Aberdour.
Still there today.
And Coed, meaning wood or forest, which you might find in names like Keith. These are Brittonic P-Celtic words, more evidence for the language family.
Okay, back to the stones. Class 1, Class 2.
Right. Class I are usually earlier, just incised symbols on unshaped stone. Class 2 are often shaped slabs, Christian cross on one side, symbols often carved in relief on the other, sometimes with figures.
But the symbols themselves, the double disc and Z-rod, the crescent and V-rod, the serpent, that mirror and comb, we still don't know what they mean, do we?
Not definitively. That's the frustrating part. Theories range from personal memorials, like family names or lineages.
Or maybe territory markers. Like tribal areas?
That's another possibility. Or maybe something to do with alliances, perhaps matrilineal marriage connections, given the importance of maternal lines sometimes suggested in Pictish succession.
But nobody's cracked the code.
Not yet. But here's something really cool, mathematical analysis.
What do? Run statistics on the symbols.
Kind of, yeah. They use things like Shannon entropy, looking at the frequency and patterns of the symbols, and the conclusion was that these symbol sequences exhibit the characteristics of written languages.
Wow, so it's not just random decoration. It is some form of writing, even if we can't read it.
Seems very likely. A structured communication system. We just haven't found the Pictish Rosetta Stone yet.
So pulling it all together, what does this mean for Scotland's story?
Well, the distinct Pictish identity, yeah, it does get submerged. By the 11th century, Gaelic culture and language are dominant. They start calling themselves Scotty.
But the Pictish influence didn't just vanish.
Not at all. It's baked into the foundations. The political entity of Alba grew out of Kickland. And linguistically, there's this fascinating ghost. Scottish Gaelic, while a Goidelic language, has features, particularly its verbal system, that look more like Welsh, like Brittonic, than Irish Gaelic does.
Suggesting influence from the Pictish language it replaced.
Exactly, a substrate influence. Plus, there are loanwords in Scots Gaelic that seem to come from Brittonic, likely via Pictish.
So here's a final thought for you to mull over. Even though Pictish hasn't been spoken for, 1,000 years? Maybe more. Could the echoes of that lost Brittonic tongue still be subtly shaping the very grammar, the way sentences are built, in the Gaelic spoken in Scotland today? A linguistic ghost in the machine.